Hello, everybody. You are watching the Promo Muscle Podcast, the podcast for the winning mindset. This is episode 2. I am your host, Christopher Perilli, and today we have a very special guest on our show, Master Brannon Beliso. He is the owner and head instructor of One Martial Arts. He is a championship fighter with over 100 trophies. He is also the founder of the Life Skills System One Merit Badge. He is an author, an inspirational speaker, and from my research, he's a musician. Sir, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Chris. Grateful to be here, sir.
So, most of the people in martial arts know who you are, but for the people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about the One Martial Arts culture.
All right. Starting with my background, I started martial arts in 1967. So I'm one of the old school guys. I started under my father, who's had a school for 45 years, same location in San Francisco. So I'm really proud of that legacy that my father's created, and that's the same house I grew up in. Growing up, I trained 6 days a week, 4 hours a day, tournaments every other weekend. Back then, there was no money in it, so we couldn't afford to travel nationally from, I guess, 6 or 7 into my mid-20s. And then I decided there was no money in that, and it wasn't something I didn't want to pursue. Kenpo Karate is my base system. If anyone knows anything about Kenpo Karate, there's basically the most well-known system is Ed Parker's American Kenpo. Well, Ed Parker and a gentleman named Ralph Castro studied together under William Chow. And William Chow dates back to the Shaolin Temple, his lineage. So in Hawaii, Castro and Parker trained with Chow. They came to the mainland, and Castro stayed with Parker until he was a 7th-degree black belt. And then Parker started to go off into the American Kenpo direction, and Castro didn't dig it. So he went back to Chow, stayed truer to the Kenpo roots as Chow taught it. And that's a system that I teach today. And so the One Martial Arts culture, it's a very unique culture because we're service-based. You know, we're very big on family. Growing up in a school, family to me is number one. So to perpetuate that family culture in One Martial Arts is really crucial to what we do. Our culture is service-based. And what does that mean? People ask me all the time, what does that mean, service-based? Little more history on that, Chris. I didn't open a real school until I was 38 years old. I had a school briefly when I was 19, but I was a fighter. So every night was fight night. That school lasted 9 months, and it was closed. It was closed because every night, hey, fresh meat, new white belt, let's beat them up. You know, that's what it was. Every night was sparring night because it was easy, it was simple, it was in line with my training, gave me new people to spar with every night and to fight with, so it made sense. But that school only lasted 9 months. But what happened was I never opened a school because I didn't see anybody prospering at a level that I felt from an entrepreneurial mindset made any sense. You either suffered for your art, had 100 students, and to this day, I mean, my dad's school has about 100 students or so, and day in and day out, or you were that, what they call that McDojo or that black belt factory, where you had heavy contracts, upgrades, retail, you know, belt fees, enrollment fees, all these heavy used car salesmen, slick sales tactics. And none of that resonated with me at a heart level. I never believed in that. And then I heard this saying from Dan Kennedy. He said, find out what your industry is doing and do the complete opposite. So naturally, being in line with my heart and my personal values, it made sense. So I developed a service-based model, became One Martial Arts. No contracts, no belt fees, no enrollment fees, no upgrades, no black belt clubs, no masters clubs, no leadership clubs. We eliminated all that stuff. And when I walk into a school and I see a white uniform, a red uniform, a blue uniform, a black uniform, this club, elite club, that, I think those different clubs promote niches, promote elitism and separatism. It doesn't promote the unity that we promote being a family environment. So if you walk into the One Martial Arts culture, we all wear the same black uniform. There is no black belt club. There is no masters club. There's nothing of that nature.
That's very interesting because it kind of exactly what you're saying in terms of Dan Kennedy goes against a lot of the mindset and the strategy for selling in the martial arts industry, and not just the martial arts industry, but in most small businesses in general. So to touch on that service-based business model, what would you say is the founding idea behind it?
I think the founding idea is to recognize I am not your boss. You know, one time one of my team members said to me, hey, this is my boss. And I said, no, let me back that up 2 steps. I am not your boss. Our clients are the boss. They simply pay me money and I distribute the money. But if we recognize that our clients, that old saying, the clients are always right, they are. Whether they are or they aren't. If you have that mindset that clients are always right and you're working to serve them at that level, then everything can change. Putting people before profits is another one of the mindsets I live and die by. I ask these guys all the time, you guys have contracts. Would you ever take somebody to collection? Oh, no way. I'd never do that. Then I say, why have them? Why have a contract? Well, because then it gives me guaranteed income for the next 6 months and on paper. No, it doesn't. If that person wants out of that contract, they'll get out of it. And if you're not going to hold it to them, what sense is that contract? Another school owner said to me, made any sense. He says, well, when I go apply for a loan, I can show them that I have these accounts receivable for the next 6 months to a year. Well, that bank knows the same thing. If somebody wants out of that contract, they're going to get out of it. That's just theory money. It exists. All I want to know is what's in your P&L today, what's in your tax returns today. I opened that second location, Chris, and nobody ever asked me, well, how many contracts do you have on file? Nobody cared. So I think that's a huge myth with that.
So speaking of that, you just opened up a new location in Millbrae, and tell us some of the trials and tribulations that you had to go through to get it started.
Well, first is, meeting that deadline and opening the door on time. Fortunately, we were supposed to be open January 15th. We had our doors open by February 9th, which in most cases is a miracle. Which is a miracle. That's only 3 weeks behind the date, not even a month. And that's because I recognize construction people are a certain breed of people. Kept my eye on the prize. I knew, because if you piss off this electrician, he's there one day and he's gone the next week and a half. And it can stall and hold up things incredibly. So I knew I was orchestrating this scenario, and I knew I had a vision of being opened by this date. So to be able to work with these different pieces of the puzzles and bite my tongue and be humble enough to bring these guys coffee in the morning and go buy supplies and do the different things, that was one of the hugest obstacles. Beyond that, honestly, there hasn't been a whole lot. I think the one thing my papa taught me, he came over here on a boat in the 50s. And back then, whether you were Filipino or Italian, you might as well have been, you were a minority. So the racism was really heavy back in the 50s. My papa said, better than me, they were smarter than me, and they were richer than me. But the one thing they didn't have is nobody worked harder than me. I'm not afraid of hard work, Chris. I love hard work. And as long as I'm willing to work hard, there's nothing that I can't do. Dealing with contractors, dealing with permits and city people and all that stuff, that's been the hardest part. But as far as this service-based model that I perpetuate in our industry as a new way of thinking, as a new way of doing business, it really sells itself. One Korean instructor, because people visit our schools from all over the world, they sell all the time. I said, what do you mean? He says, the minute they walk in the door, you say hello within 5 seconds. The minute, they take off their shoes, somebody's waiting to tie their belt. You escort them, they sit down. Somebody else is there taking attendance, high-fiving them, pre-framing the class. Then the music starts and they hit the mat. All the way to the end when you're high-fiving them as they walk off the floor and you're saying goodbye. Can't wait to see you at the next class. He says, you guys sell all the time. And he says, what you sell is service at the highest level. And he's right. He's right.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So thinking about what we just talked about in terms of the difference. So what would you say the difference between the service-based model and the sales approach? Besides the fact that we giving service at the highest level, what would you say that is for somebody who is coming into the martial arts industry and they're looking to open up a school and they want to perpetuate this service-based model? Where would they start?
Well, let's just look at it from a mom's viewpoint. And I tell people all the time, sometimes don't listen to me, don't listen to these consultants that are out there, because the information they're offering you, if it was accurate, if it was up to date, why is it that 85 to 90% of our industry is not making money? Why is 95%? I'd say that number is probably closer to 95%. There's one guy, mom and pop, 100 students, 10 years, 20 years in. Why? The information they're offering people is horrific. I just worked with a school owner. I'm starting to work with them now, on my new It's Time program. He went one of these big consultants. This guy had 200 students. The first thing they told him, you need contracts. He took on contracts, lost half his student body. Half within 6 months. That's a lot. That could kill a business. I think that's reckless and it's totally irresponsible. So let's take the new school, for instance. I walked into this new community who didn't know us from Adam. If I walked in there saying right away, 1 year contract, you must commit. We teach commitment in the martial arts, so you must commit to 1 year. I don't think I would be at 168 students in 6 months. I'm a mom. Month to month is easy. 30-day cancel is easy. Go to most tech companies that you hire for services. Everything is month to month with a 30-day cancel. And what I love about that, when you talk about that service-based mindset in our business, where they could hand us a 30-day written notice, right? 30-day notice, I'm quitting. So the neat thing about that is we work harder each and every time somebody walks through our door. So for the new school owner out there, the reason I think that's so valuable is they don't know you yet. You haven't proven yourself. That's like asking somebody to date you for a year when I haven't even gone on a date with you yet. Commit to dating me for a whole year and give me all this money. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So I think that's one of the reasons as a new school and a new community, we're at 168 students, is because it's month to month with a 30-day cancel.
Absolutely. So for your after school program, I know that so you're open about 6 months. You have what'd you say, 160?
168, sir.
168 students enrolled right now. What are you doing in terms of marketing efforts?
Well, I think marketing, someone said this one time, don't market one way to 70 people, market 70 ways to 70 people. So we're very big on in-house community events first. For example, we have a parents' night out this Saturday with over 60 plus kids coming. It is absolutely free to the community. We'll do 4 hours, pizza, dodgeball, board breaking. They'll earn merit badges from us through the One Merit Badge program. All those things, absolutely free. The guy down the street, this little gym, they're charging $70 for Parents' Night Out. They have like 5 or 6 kids. Do the math. Do the math. But we don't hard sell. We don't hard sell. We take their name and their email, they fill out a waiver, they go into a flow. We stick them into that flow. They'll get a couple of emails thanking them for coming to Parents' Night Out. Hey, here's this great call to, here's the benefits and the why people should do martial arts. That's one thing. Our in-house community events have been monumental to what we do. Supporting the school districts, they have these crab feeds, these silent auctions, Monte Carlo nights. We're supporting them by watching the kids for 4 hours for free. They charge for it to the parents, and that gives right back. So again, that promotes our after school. We just came off 11 weeks of day camp, averaging 30 kids a week. That alone is promoting our after school program. I'm a big advocate of everyday direct mail. It works for us. We tried it at our San Francisco branch. Doesn't work. They're more Facebook ad savvy, more SEO optimization. That's what they require. So for that, we use a lot of Yelp. We use a lot of Google's business, things of that nature. Instagram, Pinterest, those types of social media. We're using everything through Dojo Muscle that we've produced. This great direct mail piece. That'll go out today, for matter of fact. What I love about everyday direct mail for us, it allows us to pick the zip codes, to hone in on the target of the people that we want. My challenge with these direct mail houses is how accurate are those lists? You just don't know. The post office is pretty up to date. It's pretty accurate. A mail guy doesn't want to keep delivering mail to somebody that's not there. Eventually, they'll get wind first before the direct mail house ever does. Ever does. So everyday direct mail, a lot of schools close their doors during the summer, Chris, and they simply say, well, it's summertime. Let's just, close the doors and call it a day. Not for us. We go where the kids were at. So every Sunday, you would find us in the busiest park in Millbrae, with our guy dressed up as Kung Fu Panda, giving out balloons, giving out, fruit snacks, giving out bottled water if it was a hot day, and also giving out our rack cards, Dojo Muscle that we had created. And these rack cards will promote after school, they'll promote, our day camps things, but please be mindful, do not cross market. Somebody said, they did one with a kickboxing girl and a kid in a karate uniform. Don't cross market. It's very, a great example. Look at Apple. Somebody like Apple. Would you ever see an ad with an iPad and an iPhone together? Never. Never, right? So don't cross market. And all of those have been instrumental, very instrumental in building our after school program.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So speaking of One Merit Badge, tell the people what One Merit Badge is about and where you see it going in the future.
Well, we're actually going to rebrand that and call it Kids Love Life Skills, because what's having, and another one I have is Life Skills for Kids. What's happening with that is the first thing I recognized in the martial arts industry is you would never take a kid to a soccer coach and say, please teach my kid focus and discipline. But you would walk into martial arts school and you would demand it. You would expect it, that we teach their kids focus, discipline, confidence, right? That's what we say in all our marketing pieces anyways. The challenge with that for me is, Please do not think because you are a black belt, you are qualified to teach life skills. You are not. Do not think for a minute you're qualified to teach bullying, self-defense, or anything. Tom Callis, we did a webinar together last Friday, and I think it was very poignant when he said, you need to put at least 1,500 hours of research into any one subject in order to be qualified to teach it. Documented research, whether it's something you read, somebody's webinar you took, a course that you took, you need to document that. And I believe that wholeheartedly. When I hopped into One Merit Badges, the first thing I did was my homework. I studied, I researched child psychology books, other life skill programs. I put in 4,000 hours to develop One Merit Badges. But I knew it was key to developing the culture of one martial arts, but a culture that people, Joe E. Public, that mom will demand when she walks into your school. You can't just simply say, all right, great teamwork. I'm 5 freaking years old. What do I do with that? No, you need to say teamwork means working together. Your number one team's your family. If you want to be a great teammate at home, listen to your parents. Do things right away. If you have brothers and sisters, share. Be kind. No fighting. Cool thing about teamwork is you can make more friends. Everybody yells out. That's right, because if you share, you're kind, you take turns with someone, you're going to make more friends and you're a better teammate. And as a team, how many hands do I have? 2. Everybody raise up your hands. How many hands do we have now? Lots of them. And as a team, we can get more things done. And all that's research. That's not just stuff that I made up because I'm a black belt. I would never think, and I've studied jiu-jitsu for 4 years. I would never say I can teach jiu-jitsu. Never. Never. So I think we need to be really, really mindful of that. So many people will go to these conventions and take a quick seminar and then throw up on their, we teach Krav Maga. No, you don't. You took an 8-hour certification. You do not know Krav Maga. But because it's hip, it's cool, it's marketing, let's get out there and let's do that. So it's kind of like that big buffet in Las Vegas. And I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I need to. You walk into that buffet at Vegas, right? They got Italian, Chinese, Mexican, da-da-da-da-da. Is any of that food really good? No, it's all okay. It's just okay. And that's the challenge that I see when I walk into so many martial arts school. Their life skills are just okay. The martial arts is just okay. Their fitness program is just okay. And they wonder why they have 100 students. Know what you do it well, and learn ways to do it better. So the whole life skill things for me became this deep-rooted passion. Because, most of us started martial arts because somebody was bullying us or we lacked self-confidence. I was a small, sickly kid who stuttered. So martial arts gave me that inner resilience, that inner confidence, that never give up. Always do your best, love to work hard. It gave me those things. So it became a deep passion of mine and purpose to create this life skills system for people that schools could use, Montessori schools could use, a PAL football coach could use, a parent could use at home. Very, very simple. My challenge with all the character development that I see out there, it's like a freaking book to teach somebody confidence. I don't think that's necessary. I have the discipline. If I can't say it in one page, I go back and write it again.
I want to touch on something that you just said, and thinking about it, in not just small business, but in the martial arts industry, in my experience, there is somewhat of an information addiction. And what I mean by that is you see guys or women going to every seminar, buying every product, getting on the $97 a month, the $297 a month, these, but they're still stuck 1, 2, 3 years later in the exact same position. Why do you think that is?
Well, because number one, you have to go back to the beginning. The problem is Roland Osborne, a good friend of mine, said this. We are drowning in knowledge and starving for wisdom. There are those information takers out there that just take information. It's like that professional student, always in school, but never out in the real world applying that knowledge. That action taker, and the reason they don't take actions, because that wisdom that they seek, right? Drowning in knowledge, starving for wisdom. That wisdom that they truly seek, Chris, begins, number one, with their value system. They got to be very clear. What are your values? What is that? Integrity, always do the right thing. Family, I don't know. Everybody has their own value system. I can't determine that for you. Second is your vision. What is your business going to look like in 3 to 5 years from now? And then 3 is that action plan. How do you move from here to there? Here, open the door, take the money, teach the classes. There, what's it going to look like in 3 to 5 years? The challenge is people are so overwhelmed because they don't have a clear values. They don't have clear vision. They haven't defined their purpose. God bless my papa's soul. He caters to a very low income community. His purpose is to serve that community, and he's perfectly fine with it. It's not for me to determine what is successful for one person to another. So these information takers, what happens is they're not clear about who they are or what they do. They're not at all. So once you define your values, once you're clear on your vision, once you're clear on your purpose, your why, because I want to know why. Why am I going to come to you versus Joe Karate down the street? And God, if you give me that same regurgitated, we are a family martial arts center. We teach focus. We teach discipline because I'm a robot. I'm sheep. I go to all these conventions and I do whatever I'm told to do. That's not what we're here for. We're not sheep. We're all unique, special individuals. And once you discover your voice, your unique service point, your unique selling point, for the lack of a better word, then you can really start to find clearly what your culture will be. And that's why I think the one martial arts culture is so successful, because we're very, very clear on what that is. So when I go to a convention, I go with a specific intent of what information I need to improve my culture. What information do I need to improve my curriculum? What information do I need to improve my staff training? But it's all based upon my value system and my vision. That's why if I hooked up with a consultant that told me, you need to get contracts, the relationship's over because it doesn't fit my values, it doesn't fit my vision, and it doesn't fit my purpose or the culture of what we're trying to create. So when I hear that school owner going, yeah, I had 200 students, then he told me to get contracts, so I did. First thing I said to him, your values aren't clear, sir. They're not. So you got to be very clear. Those things need to happen first. Values, vision, purpose, then take information to fulfill that.
Absolutely. Another thing we hear a lot about is people spewing stuff like, hey, I got 200 paid trials this month. But okay, great. But how many did you keep? Because if you got 200 paid trials every single month, you would need a new school every single year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think those numbers are overinflated. And again, when we talk about those numbers, are they qualified leads? I used to do Groupons, and I was hooked up with a national kickboxing thing for a while that's out there. And we had 800 Groupons in like a 2, 3 month period. And we signed up 40 freaking students when the day was done. And it almost destroyed our culture. It destroyed it because these Grouponers were coming through the door. We were trying to do the sales thing because I lost my way. I went away from my values and I got greedy. I did $1.1 million in 2011. I felt this program would get me to 1.3 million. I lost my values, my vision, and my purpose. Fortunately, we rebounded and we regrouped and made those changes. But that's a prime example of not living by those values, right? And that's a bunch of, I don't know. You know, what's more qualified, a Groupon lead or a mom who's been in your school for 6 years with 3 kids that tells her friend? Well, I'd take the mom who's been there for 6 years with 3 kids in our school who tells a friend. I think that's a much more qualified lead. And we need to go after qualified leads. I know we look at numbers, 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 numbers. I can go to McDonald's right now and get 10 burgers for $10. Is that nutritious food? Absolutely not. I walk in a great gourmet burger place, get Wagyu beef, grade A grass fed. I'm going to pay $15 for that burger. Well, what do you want? Quantity or quality? So be mindful when people talk about that.
So switching gears for a second, a buddy of mine just opened the facility up, and he dumped a lot of money into it, and he's a little bit tapped out right now in terms of marketing, and he's like, I need to get more students through the door. What would you suggest right now on a low end, low budget, low cost thing that he can do to put some students into his school?
Okay, I'm going to answer that, but I want to go back 2 steps. That first part of the sentence, he's tapped out. He should have wrote his business plan better. Seriously. Seriously. I mean, we budgeted so tight when we opened this new school. I had 6 months to pay rent and do payroll. I had 6 months of marketing budget in there. So I'm going to question him on that one first. If he's tapped out, then he should have really, really been mindful to stick to his business plan, stick to the budgets that he created, and not go over. Because these construction people will drive you crazy with that. And then you'll see a different fan, or you see a different, and the city will do it to you too with all the ADA upgrades and the different things that are going on. So please be very, very mindful. That's the first thing I would question them on. Now, to answer that question, you got this empty building. That one in itself, I mean, either way, you're paying rent. I was working with a school owner. We stood outside his school. And we looked inside. I said, sir, what do you see? I see 10 paying students, sir. I see, no, sir, I see an empty school. That's what I see. It's like a restaurant. If you see a restaurant is packed and crowded, people just falling out the doors, you're going to want to eat there. You go to a restaurant, you see two patrons, you're going to think twice about that. So it's the same thing here. There's tons of grassroots marketing things you can do. But, and it was wonderful on this webinar last week, everybody from Melody Shulman to Tom Callos to Dave Kovar to Greg Silva, this was there, Chun Lee. Everybody said, do not sell. Do not solicit. And I went, wow, that's a breath of fresh air. I've been singing that song for the past 6-7 years. It's wonderful to hear that. Go do these events. Like, here's a great example. We found there was a fun run, a turkey trot, they call it, at this one elementary school. And at the end of this walkathon, they give out sausage and pancakes. So my wife, in her brilliance, she said, how about you allow us to also donate granola, blueberries, strawberries, yogurt, whipped cream, and chocolate chips? They said, absolutely. And all we had was a sign, a nice big poster, one of the things that Dojo Muscle did for me, and it just simply said, donated by One Martial Arts Meal Break. That's all it said. We weren't out there with a clipboard. We weren't out there, trying to get leads. Got to get your name, got to get your number if you want my freaking chocolate chips and whipped cream and blueberries. None of that. We just stood there and we served really, really well. Same thing with that crab feed. Either way, you got to pay electricity, right? Either way, he's got to pay rent. That's a fixed cost. That should already be budgeted in. So if he did all these parents' night out, he aligned himself with the crab feeds, he aligned himself with all those different groups. Another great thing my wife did was brilliant. She saw a big group of women walking, and she went up to them and said, hey, well, what are you guys doing? We're, out of Meadows Elementary, and we walk every Tuesday together. She says, I tell you what, next Tuesday, take a break from your walk. I'm going to give you a free kickboxing class just for you moms. Out of that, we signed up 10 people. But we didn't hard sell. There was no hard sell. Last week we're at the Art and Wine Festival in Burlingame. What did we do? We had a simple raffle box. If you wanted to get this balloon twisted, we had a balloon twister there, and free. All you had to do is put your name and email. And your name and email got you entered into a raffle to win a birthday party with us. So we had this line out of our booth of all these kids who wanted to get a balloon twisted. And the balloon twister wasn't cheap. She's an artist. She did some great, not some cheap, funky dog. She did some major Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle, Spider-Man. She did really good balloon sculptures. Why? It's in line with the quality of our product, right? We could have hired someone to do it at volume, really funky, cheap. Here's a sword. I mean, come on, I can make a sword, right? So see, again with that, Chris, right? That's called a miss. Good idea, but you didn't follow through. And then we had a big bucket of water. Everybody was getting free water because it was like 100 degrees out there. So we gave away free water. We had some bubble machines, and we had this balloon twister. Again, totally free. Totally free. We got like 300 leads, but they were qualified leads. There were people willing to give a name and an email. We didn't demand phone numbers and addresses and things like that. And we'll simply put them into a flow. An autoresponder, they'll get 3 or 4 emails. Let it go. Let it go. Because I get 300-400 emails a day. You send that stuff to me, I'll just throw you into spam and unsubscribe. It's really about building those relationships one at a time. So what else can this new school owner do? This was vital for us with this new location. Offer a beginning schedule, Chris, at least 6 to 7 days a week. What do you mean by that? Well, I don't know you from Adam. I want convenience. If your schedule fits my schedule, then I'll take your $99 trial. That's it. And one of my guys said that to me one night. He goes, we're teaching these classes every day, and there's only one kid in one class, and the next day there's 2, and then there's 3. Why don't we just bunch them all together on a Tuesday and Thursday? And I said to him, sir, because if we do that, that kid who could only come Monday is no longer there. The kid who could only come Friday is no longer there. The kid who could only come Saturday is no longer there. And now here we are at 168 students because of that. So those are all things internally you can do that won't cost you a cent because it's a fixed cost of rent, electricity, insurance anyways. And then you put people in your school. You want bodies in that school. If it's not full packed with people, you're going to hurt yourself. Hurt yourself.
Great answer. So final question. In all the years that you've been in business, what is the most valuable lesson that you have learned?
Is to work on your business, not in it. I think we wear it like a badge of honor, almost like the suffering artist, that we need to teach and be on that floor 24/7. I was talking to a guy who's in the auto shop business yesterday. We just met at some kid's place, and he was rushing off to work, and he says, Don't you have to go to work? I said, no. He says, why? I says, because I have a team. And my team does it really, really well. That old post-World War II thinking that our papas taught us, that you have to work in your business and slave, where you only see your dad on Fridays and Sundays for dinner. And the rest of the time your dad's working 24/7, more than that, probably 80, 90 hours a week. That's gone to the wayside. But I think with that being said, you want to work on your business, not in it. You want to work smart. As they say in Good to Great, get the right people on the bus, get them in the right seat, and then pay them well. Treat your team like gold. Because if my clients are successful and my team is not, I will fail. If my team's successful, my clients are not, I will fail. So I think even as a small business, still we're an entrepreneur, is you want to create a company that people want to work for. So right now we have 401ks, which is a basic retirement program. We have vacation with pay. We have sick leave with pay. And now when we start profiting from the second school, that money is going to go into medical benefits. I want to offer real medical benefits, not where at the end of the year you give a guy a $2,000 bonus and say, hey, yeah, that's your medical pay. You can use it. No. I want it to be part of their hiring package, that they have medical benefits. And then, of course, paying above wage. So many of us pay under wage. I kind of look at us like a restaurant. We need to function like a restaurant. Their payroll is about 30 to 35%. That's where we should be. If your payroll is not 30 to 35% of your gross, you are not paying your people well. You aren't. And then lastly with that, I like the fact that I get to teach when I want to teach. I have a great saying: special events have you missed because you had to be at that school on a Saturday. How many? Right? Lots. For a lot of school owners, lots. I can gratefully say that is not the case. This thing's 6 months old, and where am I sitting right now? I'm here talking to you. Where was I yesterday at this time? I was in some freaking play structure with my daughter. I'm very blessed for that, but I recognize that. My time to me is so, 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 so valuable. And I best serve my team. I best serve my clients sitting in Pete's Coffee, writing systems for my team to do it better than me. If they do it better than me, then I'll have a winning business.
Thank you so much for your time today. The information that you've given us has been invaluable. Appreciate it very much, Brannon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
I'll be speaking to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.